local, sustainably grown food more available and accessible in all 5 boroughs of New York City, and support the urban and rural farmers who are producing and providing that food. We support and promote a sustainable regional food system by increasing the number of and access to community-supported agriculture projects and farmers markets, and by supporting those who are growing, marketing, and distributing food grown right here in New York City. This work not only reduces our city's greenhouse gas emissions, but also improves the environmental, economic, and community health and well-being of our city. Yesterday, New York City became the first city in the nation to introduce a resolution that exclusively addresses climate change through the food system. And with 30% of our global greenhouse gas emissions stemming from unsustainable agricultural practices, it is clear that this resolution can help our city attain its broad sustainability goals. It gives me great pride to stand here today in the company of New York City's champions for cleaner, greener food. Councilman Bill de Blasio has been a staunch advocate for increasing access to healthy food by increasing access to food stamps in New York City, which can be accepted at green markets and farmers markets all across the city. Manhattan Borough President Scott Stringer has taken food access and sustainability issues on in a tremendous way and is doing great work to increase access to fresh, local, nutritious food for all New York City residents. I'm also joined here today by many of the New York City Foodprint Alliance's members, including Meredith Turner of Farm Sanctuary and Anna LePay, the co-founder of Small Planet Institute and author of forthcoming book, Diet for a Hot Planet. Again, thank you very much for joining us.
Hi, I'm Councilman Bill de Blasio. I'm chairman of the General Welfare Committee of the City Council. One of the issues we work on is hunger. And it's sad that, in fact, when we talk about hunger in this city, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of New Yorkers who experience hunger every day. And that's how I started to get involved in food issues in general. But I realized that access of needy people was only the tip of the iceberg. That when you think about the world from the perspective of food and from the perspective of the environment, the solutions start to become clearer and clearer. Now, I got a lot of inspiration from the advocates here, and especially from Borough President Scott Stringer, who has used the bully pulpit of the borough presidency to raise one of the most fundamental issues facing us, which is our food supply and the impact it has on the environment. I want to credit him because it isn't an issue that's on the front pages, and if any issue should be on the front pages, it's this one. So I just want to thank him. He really made something happen for this guy. And just to say simply, I think there's a growing awareness that the production of food, the transportation of food, the packaging of food is one of the biggest contributors to what we're experiencing in terms of global warming. But it's so wasteful, it's so unnecessary, because food can be and should be produced locally, can reach people in an effective manner, it's healthier, it's better for people, it gives us all a sense of the importance of a sustainable environment and looking at the world more locally and regionally. This is the shape of things to come. And ironically, New York City, you might think, would be the last place where this makes sense, but in fact, it's the first place where it makes sense. We have a tremendous agricultural belt all around us. We have the ability to create urban gardens. We have the community organizations that can make that happen. We have an activist government that, when it works in the right direction, can move all of the elements of government to support an enlightened policy like this. This is the moment to spark this here in New York and nationwide. And I think when you look around the world, there's a growing realization. I'm a big fan of the slow food movement, and I'm a big fan of the whole notion that as we reconnect to the rural areas right around us, it changes our whole understanding of planning and the future of our society, and it discourages urban sprawl. This is sort of one of those moments where a good policy can lead to so many other positive impacts. That's why I introduced this resolution in the council. We want to get this passed, and we want it to be the beginning of a lot of very tangible changes. Again, thank you to the person who inspired it all, Borough President Scott.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, let me thank you, Bill, and I want to thank Jackie. It seems like we're doing this once a week, and that's good because part of what we're trying to create is a food revolution that starts with a Foodprint resolution. And that's why the de Blasio bill, the de Blasio resolution 2049, I believe, taken seriously and adopted, can start to transform this city and start to recognize that if we produce food closer to home, if we take advantage of our food shed, if we start thinking out of the box on food issues and realize that a foodprint does create a harmful environmental impact unless we start strategic thinking about food production and supply. It's no secret how ironic it is that we get our tomatoes from Washington State 3,000 miles away when we can just go to Washington County and bring food supply closer to home. Bill mentioned this whole notion really of urban farming. And I think it's amazing that we want to create urban agriculture in the biggest, baddest city in the world, New York, right? We want to take advantage. We want to take advantage of our rooftops, of our sky. You know, we have very little land, but the sky's the limit in cities like New York. And so much of our thinking is about someday being able to look at our rooftops, realizing that vegetation, fresh produce grown on those rooftops can actually feed a public housing development next door. Going back to this whole notion of food co-ops, but actually creating a whole growers network and figuring out within a 100, 200 mile radius how we can create this production supply that will be environmental friendly and create jobs and create a new economy. And once again, this whole notion that the city has spent so much time subsidizing Burger King, Dunkin' Donuts, Kentucky Fried Chicken, when we really should be thinking about our supermarket deserts and our supermarkets and fresh produce. This is the Foodprint resolution that will be the revolution. And I want to thank Bill de Blasio for introducing this, working with all these amazing advocates who someday you're going to look back and think that this was Main Street, right? In 10 years, we're going to look back and say, what was the big fuss? We should be doing this. And you really are the champion. It's really not politicians. It's really the advocates who are doing it. So I'm really glad to be here today. I'd stay longer, but there's a matter of mayoral control that has to be dealt with. It's fortunately the state senate has nothing to do with the food supply right at the moment. So we're in good shape. So thank you all very much. It's really great to be here.